There it is. And we're back, episode 15.
Can you believe it?
Again.
They're keeping us on the air for some reason.
Yes. I mean, I guess that's a good sign, right?
That is a good sign.
How have you been?
I've been really good.
Yeah.
You?
Oh, good. But by the way, I'm Adam.
And I'm Steve.
There it is. This is WhiteBoard Sessions podcast.
Yeah.
Everybody probably knows the drill by now, but for the new viewers, one of us has a topic, the other one doesn't know what it is, and then what you get is authentic feedback.
You got it.
There it is.
And you're leading the way today.
I am. So,
yes.
Episode 15. You ready?
I'm ready.
It's I don't want to say controversial because it's not necessarily controversial, but it's a different way of looking at things. So the topic is essentially getting your thoughts and feedback on how in businesses, I think marketing and the way businesses are run are often viewed as more hard skill, right?
Yep.
Like people might
Sure.
look at marketing as like a hard skill type of deal,
yeah.
right? Real hard skills needed to make marketing happen or make finance happen or make communication or culture, whatever it is happen.
Yep.
But I am here today to say that I think times are changing. I think the way that, especially that we've worked with clients before, and one thing that I often, work with clients about in marketing is that it's very soft skill driven. Marketing is a very soft skill heavy function these days.
Right.
And I think that may come as a surprise because I think oftentimes when we think about each other, right, it's like you are the master ninja at soft skills. And then I have a very much
Master Ninja.
Well, and then I very much have a hard skill background, technical background and marketing background.
Right.
But I think the more we see especially as times are changing, I think it's soft skill focused.
Well, it's interesting that you're bringing this up. So I think that we've probably alluded to, or maybe we've mentioned it a few times, your background, because you're coming from some pretty appealing, sexy, high impact marketing roles. I mean, you've done, you were literally out in Hollywood,
Yep.
TV shows like The Voice.
Yep.
Hell's Kitchen.
Yep.
George Lucas Films had you as the Chewbacca stand-in.
Yes, exactly.
Wasn't that what you?
My same height,
Right,
yeah, roughly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yep.
But you're coming from
Yeah.
a very strong background, actual hands-on experience
Yeah.
of marketing, and you're suggesting, if I understand you correctly, you're suggesting that hard skill training that you've had and deployed in years past is evolving to something softer.
It is. It's pushing into your world a little bit.
So where is this coming from?
Okay, so the way I've kind of looked at it and what sparked the idea today is, let me pose it to you like this for all of you at home here.
Yeah.
So Steve, how would you define soft skills? Because that is your expertise, and I do not say that lightly. How would you define soft skills?
So a lot of times I think about specific soft skills, but like we talk about in this podcast, like the core of this business, the relationships, building, strengthening, maintaining. That's a soft skill.
Yep.
Probably because there is not an absolute concrete process or tactics or strategies, to make sure that happens, like with accounting or medicine or things like that.
Yeah.
That this, and this usually gets you that.
Yep,
so
exactly.
That's how I would define that.
So when a couple of things at the beginning is, I think what I want to touch on, where I want to jump this off at is, you talk about a lot of what soft skills is communication, relationships. It's very driven, the energy, the commitment, things like that. Well, if I ask somebody what marketing is like these days, it's all about the relationship with the customer, the commitment to your brand, both internally and externally, the communication with your customer, whether it's B2B or B2C. I mean, the communication is everything, right? Like they have to feel comfortable with you, that you want brand loyalty. You want things to be very mutually beneficial. You have to deliver that added value. It's all about the relationship and the experience. It's it no longer is it like a singular transactional, hard skill focused lack of relationship. I think when you think about marketing, especially in this day and age, the customer's first, right? And at the same time, a lot of things are digitally native, right? Yes. I mean, those are two no-brainers. Somebody in marketing might be looking at this and, watching this like, duh, that's 101. Where are we going with this? Yeah. But it's very much so, if you flip that sales funnel over, it's very much so about that third-party validation, the where you have your customer, you have where they want to get to, and you provide that bridge for them to get from A to B.
Right.
And so it's all about the relationship along the way. It's about guiding them to that, delivering the value along the way, the commitment to that path, showing them that that you can deliver that end goal for them.
Right.
It's not just like, hey, here's my product, buy it. Hey, here's my service, use it.
Yep. No, I think I'm picking up what you're laying down, and I think I tend to agree with what you're saying, because it used to, you think about the old the car sales thing where it was a manipulative, I think a lot of people would agree, a manipulative questioning process where you get the customer saying yes, 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 to the end where it's like, do you want to buy the car? Yes. And they don't even know that it's manipulative to it's transactional. I think I get what you're saying. These days, it's about, when you think about social media or social networking, things like that, that's very much about the quality of a relationship, your ability to communicate to the customer. I think some people call it a story.
Yeah,
Finding, I think, who's the marketing guru I'm thinking of? The Purple Cow and...
not Seth Godin.
Yeah, Seth Godin. And then the guy sent you that video today.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is, but
remember
finding out what story the customer wants to hear and telling it to them. So, communication can be a soft skill. And go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say real quick that story, before I forget, I've been known to forget a thing or two. That story, I think when storytelling for a business first came out years ago, it was all about the internal story. Here's our story. We started since 1975, blah, 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 blah. I was a leader in the, and got started because, I really needed a new napkin, and I came up with this revolutionary napkin or whatever.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's about the customer's story.
Yes.
Right? It's about what their abrasion point in their life is, and how can you make their life better by what you offer? Like, what story do they want to see themselves in, and how can you tell them their own story?
So I just got to think. So people may not know that. I mean, literally, we met up a little bit ago here, and I don't know what the subject is, where you're going to go, but I'm really tracking, and I get this because you're absolutely right. So many times in the past, people would have a product or a service and they think, we think this is great. You and I talk a lot about this with that customer that we have, where it's a lot of inside out stuff. We think this is a great. Oh, that just shut off. It's a great product or service. We think it's nifty. Here's all the features and benefits. Go sell it. Go market it.
Exactly.
I think what I hear you saying is, look, you better have the soft skill of understanding, asking questions, understanding what the customer wants, what the needs, maybe even take it a step further and anticipate what they're going to need. Base a story around that. Am I
needs
picking up what you're laying down?
That is like the very first thing. Understand your customers' needs and expectations.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because that's where you're going to improve their life and deliver that consistent value through the whole way. Absolutely. I mean, it's about the experience, not the campaign. It's about the relationship, not the transaction necessarily. You know what I mean? Because that's a byproduct of that. Right. So the soft skill of just building that relationship and experience is huge, especially with the younger generations. They're not super brand loyal. So you have to make sure that they feel comfortable with you and that you build that relationship with them so they feel connected to you. They feel like that what you provide them is an integral part of their life.
So we've already gotten some feedback. My buddy Jake at one point said, hey, do you guys ever disagree about it?
If you watch our last...
Yeah, exactly. So I'm about to kiss your ass again because there is some genius about you that, I mean, honestly, it's fascinating. I think about the guy we used to work with where...
Jake, you can hit mute right now. Yeah, right. You know who you are.
But our old buddy from the previous company where he talked about the fact that because he had his own Facebook page, he knew social networking, right? Exactly. Social marketing. And I think about, we've talked on the podcast about push versus pull. And that whole marketing thing used to be just a push.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? We're just pushing out information about our product or service to get you to buy in. It's transactional. What you're talking about is actually a pull, because my take on Facebook is just simply bitch, brag, and preach.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a push.
Exactly.
You're saying the marketing thing is a discovery. It's a seeking first to understand what are the needs, right?
For a successful brand, absolutely. It has to turn 180. 100%.
So what else do you think is making, other than that, what else do you think is making marketing softer?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the last point we'll touch on today is when you look at marketing internal, right? So we just talked about all external has to do with the customer. Internally marketing, things like the structure of the function is changing, but also the way you work with your coworkers has to change. The way you present, that united front internally, because when you think about the culture of a company, the marketing internal, the guts of the company, the way you operate is going to show externally.
Sure.
Right. So instead of these hard skill things like, okay, can you mine the data and can you design the ad and can you post on the social media? No, it's like you come together because you have this relationship and you want to deliver this full package, right?
Yeah.
Everybody works together. Everybody works harmoniously on one, experience for the customer.
Right.
And that's what it's all about, because that's what's going to show through to the end. So if
Right.
you're not presenting that internally, it's not going to show externally. So again, those soft skills show up simply from like a personnel standpoint.
So things like teamwork and collaboration and trust,
exactly.
vulnerability, those things.
I feel like are bases to your soft skill mastery.
Yeah. That is really good stuff. And I'm just thinking that as a business owner, as a leader, as a manager, somebody that's out there, watching this thing, it seems to me that, and this is a bit of an overstatement, but traditional, okay, if we're going to say that marketing is evolving and getting softer, let's just say that that's the premise of the conversation today. That the part that comes after that could be considered a bit of a commodity, because if marketing is an amplification of message, right, a telling of the story, so on and so forth,
absolutely.
That's probably easier to buy, more simplistic of a purchase. Am I tracking with you?
Yeah. Yep.
And that first part, that understanding, the discovery, all of that other stuff, that's necessary to amplify.
100%. Without that, I mean, you're just trying to see throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. You're just blindly aiming, right? It's like I said, flipping that sales funnel. I mean, that's kind of what it's, instead of, okay, we're going to do this, and that, and the other thing. Well, we need to start with the customer first. We have to be very customer native, if you want, throw around a few buzzy keywords there, but it has to start with that. It has to start with the advocacy and what they want, what they're talking about, and where they are, all those kind of things, and being able to do that. Yeah.
So last question I've got for you before we wrap it up, because we've gotten some nice positive feedback from people about these shorter, these
exactly
10-minute podcasts. Thanks, Gary up in Brainerd, for that feedback. What do you think is driving that absolute need to be softer when it comes to marketing?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. That I think could be a podcast in itself, so I'll try to keep it truncated here. But
stay tuned for episode 16.
Yeah, exactly right. There's so many things, but I think the first thing I would say is, especially in this day and age, these last couple of years, people have really changed their priorities, both in life and work, just period, right? A lot of people know what really matters, what really counts these days. It's about the relationships, right? You couldn't hug somebody for like a year. You couldn't, hardly be in the same room 2 feet from somebody.
Right.
The way we work, the way we operate, things like that. That's a big driver. The other way is being connected. People, their dollar means more to them, as inflation rises, as things in the world change, the dollar means more, especially to younger generations. And they want to feel comfortable in that it's about them. It's customized to them. It's, you're really speaking to them, and it's about that relationship versus about just the product. So I think those are the two main drivers. I think there's probably a ton more that I'm not saying right now that you're probably thinking of at home, and probably in your mind too.
Yeah. Well, and I think everything that you just said is based on the customer's perspective. Do they feel understood? Do they feel like the service or product provider gets what their needs are, their wants, their desires, and all that other stuff? Yeah. Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I hope that was another
bullseye, man. That was good.
Yeah. No, it was fun. So episode 15, stay tuned for the next one. 16 coming.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys.